check.
The corridor was never safe. It was simply necessary. 40 miles of exposed highway. Insurgent controlled high ground on both sides. And no alternate route. Air cover was scheduled overhead at 1400 hours. It never checked in. Static isn't just noise, it's exposure. Movement on elevation. Too distant for confirmation. Close enough to matter. The first device wasn't hidden well. It was meant to be found. That was the warning. No rotor wash. No jet engine. Just heat. And waiting. First shot came from elevation. A test round. They were measuring reaction. He didn't return panic. He returned controlled fire. Secondary charge confirmed. The convoy was positioned exactly where they wanted it. One vehicle down. One wounded. Corridor narrowing. Forward was wired. Rear was burning. Elevation was hostile. And air support was still silent. It wasn't random fire anymore. Two positions. Cross angles. They were tightening the perimeter. This was no probe. This was coordination. There was a scope on that ridge. Waiting for an exposed head. The glint lasted less than a second. Long enough.
Falcon 1, this is Atlas 6. Immediate air status check.
Primary frequency dead. Backup frequency dead. Air support was not delayed. It was gone. Disabled vehicles don't stay neutral. They become anchors. And anchors under fire turn into coffins.
All units prepare.
Retreat meant ambush. Waiting meant attrition. There was only one direction left. Through it. Momentum changes geometry. Stationary targets are predictable. Moving steel is harder to solve. The breach had begun. Not every device is wired the same. Not every plate is pressure triggered. Sometimes survival is measured in inches. The first device was distraction. The second was timing. They waited for movement. Then they triggered the real charge. They adjusted positions. Closed distance. High ground alone wasn't enough anymore. They wanted angles inside effective range. There's a moment in every engagement. When hesitation disappears. When the only variable left is commitment. The convoy was no longer trapped. It was forcing an exit. Movement complicates medicine. Armor protects from bullets. It does not steady hands. Wounded. And still inside the kill zone. Dust favors the defender. It blinds movement. It hides shooters. And it makes every ridge feel closer than it is. They adapted quickly. Elevation fire wasn't enough. They were shifting to flanking angles. Shortening the distance. One round. 2 inches lower and command collapses. Armor buys seconds. Discipline keeps them alive. Pressure doesn't announce itself. It accumulates. Wounded inside. Flankers outside. Visibility collapsing. And still no air cover. Command is not volume. It's stability under weight. Combat burns more than ammunition. Engines pushed at full throttle. Extra weight. Constant acceleration. Fuel was no longer guaranteed. Mobility keeps a convoy alive. Lose one vehicle, and the formation stretches thin. Stretch thin enough, and the enemy cuts between. They weren't trying to destroy the convoy on open ground anymore. They were shaping the terrain, forcing steel into a funnel, and waiting at the narrowest point. Open terrain offers distance, narrow terrain offers traps, and the corridor was closing. The road didn't end. It narrowed into resistance, a blocked bend, armed positions, and nowhere else to turn. An RPG changes distance. It removes armor advantage, and in a narrow corridor, there's nowhere to absorb the blast. Half a second. That was the margin. Reaction beats trajectory, and trajectory was lethal. Steel doesn't care about courage. Engines fail without warning, and a stalled vehicle in a choke point becomes a target marker. Casualties change priorities, but they do not stop the mission. The medic moved him away from the blast side. Inches matter inside steel. There are moments when the map ends. When the only option left is force and friction, he chose the gap and committed the steel. Armor against sheet metal. Mass against obstruction. The bend would not hold. At close range, hesitation is fatal. Training reduces distance to decision. 3 rounds. Threat neutralized. The corridor punished hesitation. Every inch stolen from stone. Every scrape paid in steel. Distance from contact buys survival. Fuel buys distance. And the margin was shrinking. The bend was forced. Not secured. Not cleared. Forced. And the corridor still had miles left.
Atlas 6, this is Falcon 1, delayed by weather diversion, ETA 12 minutes.
Air support wasn't gone. It was late. 12 minutes in open terrain is an eternity. Fuel doesn't negotiate. When it runs dry, steel becomes stationary. They weren't finished at the bend. Open ground favors speed, and speed favors pursuit. Movement buys survival, but blood loss ignores momentum. The clock inside the vehicle was running faster than the one outside. Split formations die in detail. Leave one vehicle behind, and the enemy isolates it. But slow down, and the entire convoy becomes vulnerable. Chaos kills structure. Structure restores control. He shifted them into a rolling defense. No vehicle alone. No blind arc. Pursuit relies on engine power. Disable the engine, and aggression stalls. Fuel margin expired. Steel without motion is a fixed coordinate. Recovery in open ground is exposure. But leaving steel behind guarantees loss. Air support finally arrived. 12 minutes late. The convoy was still intact, but barely. Reinforcements were coming. Speed in numbers, but now they were visible from above. Air power isn't loud at release. It's quiet, until impact. One strike. Pursuit ended. Corridor temporarily secured. Air closed the gap, but extraction was still ground work. Mobility restored. Formation intact. Extraction back on schedule. He was stable. Not safe, but alive. Sunset shortens engagement windows and favors withdrawal. Command isn't volume. It's steadiness under fire. The corridor ended. The convoy did not. 6 vehicles entered the corridor. 6 vehicles exited. 1 wounded. Multiple damaged. Air arrived late. Discipline arrived on time. Extraction complete. Daylight ended. The fight didn't. Night changes distance, and it changes confidence. Overwatch replaces elevation. Technology replaces line of sight. The sky was watching, for now. Interference doesn't announce itself. It creeps. Drone failure. Overwatch ended. Blind again. Silence at night is different. It feels deliberate. At night, certainty disappears. Everything becomes potential threat. Blood loss doesn't sleep, neither does responsibility. Attrition isn't dramatic, it's incremental. Momentum got them out, endurance would get them home. They waited for the drone to fail. Then they fired. Without thermal, night returns to the enemy. Attrition doesn't wait for contact to end. Fatigue doesn't announce itself, it accumulates. Leadership at night isn't louder, it's steadier. The engine is overheating. If it fails, the convoy stops. If they stop, they become a fixed target. He has to choose between movement and survival. Both options carry risk. They are shifting positions. They are not firing randomly. They are trying to spread the convoy's fire. They want confusion. They want someone to hesitate. A round hits the rear vehicle. For a moment, they think it went through. Inside, Everyone freezes. It did not penetrate. But the fear is real. The impact shakes the wounded soldier. They fear new damage. The medic checks again. No new bleeding. He is still alive. The engine may fail. The enemy is still firing. If they stop, they can fight with better control. If they keep moving, the engine may die. He has seconds to decide. The engine is no longer responding normally. Speed is dropping. Power is fading. They are still moving, but not by choice. He orders a halt, not out of fear, out of necessity. They will cool the engine and fight from position. One of them moves closer. Too close. He fires at short range. The turret responds immediately. The threat is removed. The wounded soldier is getting weaker. Blood pressure is dropping again. Movement delayed treatment. Time is now against them. Stopping again will cost them time. The wounded soldier may not survive another delay. The engine may fail, but waiting guarantees loss. He chooses to move. The engine is beyond safe limits. Cooling time is gone. If it fails now, they are stranded. There will be no recovery. They must push through. He orders an aggressive breakout. Speed replaces caution. Suppressive fire keeps the enemy's head down. They commit fully. There is no pause now. They try to flank the convoy. They move alongside the road. They fire at closer angle. The side turret reacts immediately. The flank fails. The engine nearly stalls. Power drops suddenly. For 1 second, it feels finished. Then it catches again. They are still moving. They clear the kill zone. Gunfire fades behind them. The engine is still unstable. The wounded soldier is still critical. But for now, they are moving again. The engine is leaking coolant. It is losing what keeps it from overheating. The damage is not loud. It is slow, and it is dangerous. Fuel is not critical yet, but it is no longer comfortable. They have pushed harder than planned. Every mile now matters. The radio signal weakens again. They cannot rely on outside support. They are mostly alone now. What happens next depends only on them. Fatigue slows reaction time. Even half a second can matter. He corrects the vehicle, but the delay is noticed. They are running on endurance now. The main highway leads into another choke point. The alternate road is unknown. It could be safer. It could be worse. He chooses the unknown. They leave the highway. The desert is uneven and unpredictable. Speed becomes harder to maintain. Every bump stresses the engine. Stability is reduced. Off-road driving increases engine load. The coolant leak makes it worse. The temperature rises again. They are pushing damaged equipment. The margin is shrinking. The desert changes spacing. Some ground is firmer. Some areas trap weight. The convoy stretches slightly. That creates vulnerability. The wounded soldier is deteriorating. The rough terrain makes treatment harder. Breathing becomes irregular. The medic reports critical status. Time is nearly gone. Morning is coming. They survived the night. The engine is damaged. The soldier is critical, but they are still moving. The engine is close to failure. Steam is visible now. Speed is dropping. They are still far from safety. Breakdown here would end the mission. The engine nearly shuts down. Power drops without warning. The driver keeps it alive, but the system is failing. They cannot rely on it much longer. They stop briefly behind a ridge. They add water to the cooling system. It is a temporary solution. It may buy minutes, not much more. They are spotted. A drone appears overhead. The desert offers no concealment. At daylight, movement is visible. The enemy is watching again.
Request emergency extraction. Grid trend transmitting.
The engine is failing. The wounded soldier is critical. The enemy has air surveillance. Continuing alone is no longer viable. He calls for extraction. Extraction does not answer immediately. The signal is weak. Time continues to pass. The engine is unstable. They cannot wait forever. The drone remains overhead. It adjusts position. It is tracking them. The enemy knows where they are. Exposure increases. The engine fails. There is no recovery. Mobility is gone. They are stationary in open desert. The situation changes completely. They establish a defensive perimeter. There is no cover except what they create. The desert is open. The enemy is watching. They prepare to hold. They hear it before they see it. Aircraft approaching. The sound grows slowly. It may be friendly. It may not.
Request emergency extraction. Grid trend transmitting.
Air support checks in. The convoy is stationary. The engine is dead. They now depend on air cover. The ground threat remains. The drone is removed. Surveillance is cut. The enemy loses live feed. But they already know the location. The ground fight is coming. Ground elements are advancing. They are using bounding movement. This is organized. They are trying to close distance. The perimeter holds. The wounded soldier cannot wait. Evacuation must happen under fire. The medic prepares quickly. There is no protected zone. Only timing and coordination. Wind is increasing. A dust storm is forming. Visibility will drop. Air operations may be affected. Time is limited. Air support strikes the ridge. The impact is close but precise. Enemy firing stops immediately. The perimeter holds. The window for evacuation opens. The enemy is suppressed. No movement detected. The strike disrupted their advance. But suppression is temporary. They will regroup. Medical evacuation is inbound. The helicopter is approaching fast. The landing zone is open desert. There is no protection. Timing is critical. The dust storm is getting closer. Wind is increasing. Visibility is dropping. The helicopter cannot stay long. The decision must be immediate. The storm is closing. The helicopter cannot remain. He chooses to evacuate the wounded first. The rest will stay and hold. The ground must be defended.
Lift the wounded! We hold!
The helicopter lands in unstable wind. Sand reduces visibility. The wounded soldier is moved quickly. The landing zone is exposed. They must move fast. Enemy regrouping through dust. The enemy uses the dust as cover. They push forward again. One is hit and falls immediately. The others continue advancing. The storm hides movement. Helicopter lift off in low visibility. The helicopter lifts through dust. Visibility is poor. The wounded soldier is airborne. The ground team remains behind. Air support becomes limited. The storm limits air visibility. Precision strikes are harder now. Ground forces must rely on themselves. Support is present but restricted. The fight returns to ground level. Visibility is now short. The perimeter tightens. Enemy movement is harder to detect. Close range engagements increase. The storm changes the fight. The enemy nearly breaches the rear arc. He closes distance under dust cover. The defender reacts immediately. The threat falls within meters of the vehicle. The perimeter holds. Close combat beside the vehicle. Visibility nearly gone. The fight becomes personal. One controlled shot ends it. The line does not break. Ammunition is not unlimited. Every shot must count. They switch to controlled bursts. One target drops in the storm. Discipline keeps them alive. The commander is nearly exposed. A shot lands within meters. He is pulled to cover. Return fire drops the attacker. Leadership remains intact. The storm reaches full intensity. Gunfire stops. Visibility drops to almost nothing. No movement detected. The fight pauses, but it is not over. The storm begins to pass. Visibility improves slowly. The perimeter is still intact. The ground shows signs of the fight, but no new movement appears. The enemy begins to withdraw. Some are injured. They retreat toward the ridge. The perimeter holds fire. The attack has failed. Friendly injuries are assessed. Minor wounds are treated. No additional casualties confirmed. Equipment remains functional. The team remains operational. Ground extraction is inbound. Armored vehicles are approaching. Reinforcement arrives by land. The hold has succeeded. Relief is close. The ground is secure. The enemy has withdrawn. Casualties are manageable. Reinforcement has arrived. The hold is complete.